Hi, and welcome to today's Dux-Soup webinar. I'm Jo Henderson, one of the members of the marketing team here at Dux, and I'm joined today by our guest host, Tyrone Giuliani, LinkedIn sales expert and founder of Selling Made Social. Before we hear from Tyrone, I'd just like to cover a few housekeeping points. A quick reminder to everyone at this stage that this session is a workshop, so to get the best out of it, please make sure that you've printed off the workbook. If you haven't already done so, the link to the handout is at the top of the chat field. This is a business-focused webinar rather than a deep dive technical session, so everyone will be on mute. Tyrone, however, will be asking for feedback and comments from you during the session, so please make sure that you add your responses into the chat box as we go along. Giles Garnett, Head of Professional Services, and Jim Kuzminskate, Head of Customer Support here at Dux, will also be on hand, and they'll be collating all your responses for Tyrone and fielding any Dux-related questions you may have. We've had a really great response to this session, so please be patient with them both. A recording of the whole session will also be available later today, and we'll email that across to you in around 5 or 6 hours' time. So let me introduce today's guest host. Tyrone Giuliani is an Australian entrepreneur based in Tokyo, Japan, where he's been living for 22 years. He's consulted with multi-billion-dollar global entities, including Amazon, Google, and Apple, to name a few, and has been providing career counseling to thousands of professionals for almost 20 years. Tyrone's business, Selling Made Social, now focuses on bringing that expertise and success to the everyday entrepreneur through his hugely successful LinkedIn Mastery class, where he helps to transform businesses using the power of LinkedIn for lead generation. Owing to the travel restrictions imposed during the last couple of years, Tyrone has spent more time than ever exploring Japan and discovering the beauty its islands have to offer. Having become an almost regular visitor to the island of Okinawa, he says he's now found the perfect home-from-home base, where he has all the benefits of beach life coupled with the efficiency of Japan. So I'm not sure where he's joining us from today, the home office or the beach one. However, what is for certain is that we are more than a bit excited to be able to welcome Tyrone back to Dux-Soup and thrilled that he'll be sharing some of his LinkedIn mastery with us today. So with no further delay, Tyrone, thank you for joining us, and I will hand over to you.
Great, thanks, Jo. Okay, everyone, thanks for coming. I'm operating a few different screens and an iPad, but this is going to be a workshop. So you guys are going to actually do some work during this. So when I ask a question, just pop it in the chat because the team's going to call out your answers. Because I want to make the stuff that I'm going to show you tonight as relevant to as many of you as possible. So please be patient if I'm talking and sometimes I'm not on the screen or this is happening. This is the first time using all this technology on GoToWebinar. We did a run through last week, but you know it's tech, and I'm not that really tech. I'm a bit tech challenged. But anyway, so today we're going to talk about the LinkedIn nurture sequence that I have coached my clients to use in combination with the LinkedIn messaging frameworks that I coach and engagement. We see near 100% acceptance rates of connection requests, and then followed by message openings, which I'm going to teach you tonight, up to 85+% response rates. And I know you're thinking, oh, that's ridiculous. It's true, and you'll see kind of why during this webinar. So let's get stuck into it. And as I said, please be gentle to me. So a couple of things, just so I understand where you're all at. Can you just write in the chat, and this is confidential, no one can see your answers, just us on the team. And this is just so I can call out some specific examples during the webinar. So what's your business? You know, what's your current service? Who do you sell to right now? So are you a coach? Do you have an SEO agency? Are you a heavy duty parts seller? What are some of the businesses that you guys have right now? And where are you selling to? So for example, if you are a SEO agency in the US, just put that in the chat. If you're a business coach, if you're a consultant, whatever your business is and which markets you're in, just chuck it in the chat. Just write there what your business is. Do you have any answers, Jo or Charles?
Yep, I was Giles here. Yeah, we've got recruitment business, business to business specialist creative agency in London, financial services, mergers and acquisitions, software as a service, healthcare recruiting for nursing homes, IT and engineering recruitment, B2B in the tech space, all over the world as well. We've got Dubai, US, London. Yeah, they're coming in quicker than I can read. HR tech, digital agencies,
Nice.
agency, content.
Okay, great. All
Yeah,
right,
all
so
over the
good
world,
cross-section.
and pretty much every single industry you can think of.
Yeah, great. The good thing, I've coached clients in over, I think, 67 different industries and on every continent except Antarctica, which I have visited, but I didn't coach. So, okay, cool. And how long have you guys been in business for? We've got fresh, new entrepreneurs, or we've got a few people, bit grizzled like me, bit of gray on the sides. How many years have you been in business for? Because that also changes the way that you're going to use LinkedIn and how you come and present yourself. So where are we? Are we new, fresh? Are we a little bit grizzled like myself? What's the range?
Okay, so we've got a few answers coming in quickly now. 3 years, 4 years, 10 plus years, 20 plus years, quite a lot. Yeah, 20, 28 years, 30 years. But then a few half a years, 1.5 years.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right,
pretty much
so
an enormous range from 6 months to 35 plus years.
all right, so I'll address both ranges during this presentation. So cool. All right, and when a client hires you, when they use you for the first time, how much does a client pay you? Well, they usually pay. I know you may have ongoing, reoccurring. You might be on retainers if you're a recruiter. In general, though, what does a client pay you if it's a one-off, or how much do you usually get lifetime value for a client? What would the ranges be? What numbers are we seeing there, Giles? Must be some big ones for the recruiters.
Scroll down because everything's just reset and gone right up the top again. Oh, come on. They're coming in too fast for me to keep up. Okay, so we got between $2,000 and $3,000, £3,000.
Mm-hmm.
That's 1,500 retainers, $6,000. Yeah, not so many answers coming in through at the moment, but yeah, between $2,000 and $6,000 by the looks of things.
Great. All right, cool. If you're in the recruitment one, you're making 25% on your fees, right? So I know that I had a firm for 14 years. So, all right, nice. Okay, so the ranges that I'm hearing are really good for link.
Sorry, Tyrone, there's a couple coming in as well at a bigger number. So typical fee between $10,000 and $50,000. There's a couple of bigger ones as well there. Yeah.
All right, great. So generally, you want to be on LinkedIn if you're going to be having fee at least kind of 2K to 4K a deal, especially if you're using it organically. For those in the 5-figure, 6-figure deals, LinkedIn's absolutely the place that you'll be making money on. What I want to talk about in particular, and I get this a lot from people on LinkedIn and I'm going to share my. I get this a lot, and it's, what is a LinkedIn sales funnel and how do you make money on LinkedIn? And there's a reason why so many people aren't making money off LinkedIn or aren't making it as effectively as they should. And it's because what I've noticed over the last few years is a lot of kind of marketers have come on board into the LinkedIn coaching space. Now, I came from business, using it for business, generated over 22 million bucks in fees off LinkedIn. And then, coaching is just one of my businesses. And I've seen a lot of marketers come in who may be fantastic at video and they push that video is the way you're going to make money with video. Or it's a copywriter who's saying, hey, write copy, you're going to make a ton of money. Or it's one thing or the other. Listen, the reason why you can have the most success on LinkedIn if you view it as a funnel. And what I mean by that is this. Let's go to my iPad. This is how I view a LinkedIn sales funnel, or just as we call, a LinkedIn sales process. The goal of my LinkedIn sales funnel for all my clients is to get into daily warm discussions, right? Or pitches, pitching daily. Now, I know what you're thinking, like, oh, that's horrible when someone, sends you a message and sends you a connection request and sends you a message. Yeah, that's absolutely, I've got to go to iPad. That's absolutely horrible. Daily warm discussions. This is our goal of our funnel. And we're going to talk about a couple of key things. The way that a funnel that I see the most successful funnels on LinkedIn, there's 3 key elements. There's the authority side of your funnel. There is outbound strategies, okay, and there are inbound strategies. And you're going to start to get a picture of why maybe your funnel hasn't been working. It's probably because you're missing many of these elements. When I talk about authority, there's 3 kind of key projects that I've seen that make someone's funnel on LinkedIn the most successful. The first one is their offer fit. And that is, does what you offer to the market, is there an audience there on LinkedIn? And not only that, but have you articulated your offer really, really well? Do you know what are the objections to your offer? What are the myths about your offer? When someone lands on your page, do they understand exactly what you offer, who you offer it for, how it's going to impact them? Really important. I see a lot of people with the wrong offers coming to LinkedIn, like local business offers, like trying to sell something to a hairdresser on LinkedIn. It's just the wrong offer. So you've got to make sure you have the right offer for the right audience. The next part of a LinkedIn sales funnel is the profile. Now I want to ask this question. What is a resume or a CV used for? Just write it in chat. What is a resume or a CV used for? Do we have some answers there, Giles?
Nothing yet.
Come on, guys. What's a CV or resume
Job.
used for?
We've got one word, jobs.
Jobs, getting a job. Exactly. Now, if you look at your profile on LinkedIn and you're a business owner, why do you have a CV or a resume as a profile? You're not trying to get a job. You're trying to get clients. You're trying to get clients. Now, in previous Dux-Soup webinars, if you look at their resource center, I talk about a client-facing promotional page. Just know now, if you have a CV, a resume as a profile on LinkedIn, you are wasting your profile now. It should more be like a landing page or a mini website, because a CV is used for getting a job, and you're not trying to get a job. You're trying to get clients. So when I work with clients in particular, we've got to look at, do you have a profile? Have you started to use the media space that LinkedIn give you in a way that serves you? i.e., those experience sections should change to be more like your website, where each section actually talks about one of your key services, right? So it's if you can go to the Dux-Soup webinars, you'll see I talk about that there. But just for this lesson tonight, just know that. The other part of a great sales funnel is a social proof engine. You don't have to leave all your recommendations to the bottom of LinkedIn. You need to put in a system where you can weave your social proof in all parts of the profile, in all those experience sections. And you need to put a system in place where every time you deliver service to a client and get a great result, you're able to get a really good client-facing style testimonial. If you don't have social proof, weave throughout your profile and using it and I'll show you how to use it later, and using it, you're missing out on a key element of a funnel. Now, the outbound, guys, targeting. If you are serious about getting success on LinkedIn and using it as a lead source, you've got to learn how to target. And the best targeting advanced tools found typically on Sales Navigator. Sales Navigator has, of course, LinkedIn can be a little bit grumpy at times and doesn't give you all the best results, but learning how to target and filter You know, can you do Boolean searches? Do you know how to do an account search and then be able to find employees within an account search, cross-reference that with the list, delete people, exclude people? Do you know how to use the targeting? The targeting can be really, really effective. You can find someone at a Fortune 500 company who's been working for more than 10 years, who's currently at that job for under 3 years, who just posted on LinkedIn in the last 30 days and did a content post about mergers and acquisitions. You can find, and they live in New York. You can find someone that specific, right? That's how specific you can get with your targeting. If you're not getting that specific, targeting is an issue, yeah? The other part is a message framework, is having great messages, not the value vomits, not the horrible message that most of you are probably sending. If your message sounds like this, you're getting crappy results, I'm sure, where you send out a message and it says, "Hi, I'm Ty, I'm the LinkedIn guy. I help small businesses get leads off LinkedIn. Here's a PDF of the top 10 reasons, and here's a video to watch about the 5 reasons why you should change to a LinkedIn sales funnel. And hey, why don't we have a mutually beneficial chat for 15 minutes? Here's my link." If you send a message like that as your first ever message to someone, you are doing it wrong. If your message sounds like that, stop. And I'm going to show you today how we're going to fix at least the opener. The other part of a great outbound strategy is an engagement strategy. Do you have an informal pod of experts that you can call on, that you can mention in your content, that you are engaging on their posts so their audience sees you? You know, are you engaging with people who are selling to your ideal clients, but with non-competitive products? Are you engaging with people who are talking about topics or skills that you have expertise in, so you can comment and you can showcase your expertise in a really non-salesy way? Do you have an engagement strategy in place? If not, there's an issue there. Inbound. These are the final 3 parts of a really successful funnel. Content. Sorry for my writing, I was a doctor in the past life. Content is really important, but it's not as important as it's made out to be by content creators, because when you put content out, you know, 1 to 3% of people are going to see your content. It actually comes from, you know, leads come from all of these elements. So content, still, it's only 1 of 9 of the key elements of a LinkedIn sales funnel, but it's important that you really catch, and I hate producing content, everyone, so I'm not a big content guy. However, it is essential because it does give you a chance to showcase you. If you've noticed on LinkedIn, it's not the business posts that get engagement, it's the personal posts. The reality is no one cares about you until they care about you. You know, no one cares about your business till they care about you. So rather than being business with your posts, it should be personal, then a business post. Just remember that. No one cares about your business till they care about you. Just moving on, we'll just whip through these. Nurture, we're going to talk about that today, so we'll go into them there. And then the last part of a funnel is your lead management. Do you have a system where you can go into LinkedIn, find your people, suck them into a CRM, and then process them? LinkedIn and Dux-Soup has a great system for that. It's Dux-Soup Turbo. When you connect it with Pipedrive, you're able to visit people on LinkedIn. It automatically sucks them into Pipedrive. When they connect, that automatically puts them in your sales funnel. It's a great process. You'll never drop a candidate or a prospect again. So lead management, if you're not using Dux-Soup Turbo, go check it out with Pipedrive. It's a native integration. It works awesome. So that's the funnel, guys. As you can see, you should go and look at each one of these elements and give yourself a rank: red light, orange light, green light. And you'll probably find that many of you are looking like this. Your offer fit, yeah, you kind of know your offer and it works well. Your profile, you've got a CV, that's a red. You're not really using any social proof at the moment. Maybe you've got your targeting down pat. Your message frameworks, generally, they kind of are a bit sucky. Many of you aren't doing engagement. Some of you are pretty good at content. Nearly all of the people I ever meet don't have a nurture sequence, and there's probably like that. Now, for you to have true success, we want to turn all of these green. When you have all of these green, what they do is they compound. They all of these elements help drive conversations into Messenger every day, and you want daily conversations. What I want to do is give you a shortcut and show you something that you can add from today. I'm going to show you this part, nurture, and I'm going to give you a little bit of a message framework. So we're going to focus today on these two elements, and it's going to help you tremendously. So let's get into that. I'm going to go back to my main screen. Let's see if we don't stuff it up. All right, here we are. All right, so as I mentioned before, on the inbound side of the equation, we have our deal management, we have our content, and we have our nurture sequence. Now, when we nurture someone on LinkedIn, what do I mean by that? Well, how many of you collect all these people on LinkedIn? Okay, you go out and you find them, you connect with them, you send one message, and then they never hear from you again. How many does that happen to? Who does that? They kind of, or they just have a drip fed, they maybe do these 3 to 4 messages and then it stops and they're never heard from again. Anyone? Does it sound familiar? It's like you're collecting or starting a museum. Yeah, it's not the best way of getting clients. When you've done all that work to find someone on LinkedIn, target them, connect with them, message them, they say no, not yet, and then you just leave them, right? It's nuts. Well, just think, they maybe just need to know you a little bit more. They need to see you a little bit more. Now, generally, what I've found with LinkedIn in particular, it kind of works like this kind of scale, right? Top of mind. And this is contacts or engagement with you, right? Interactions. And this one is awareness. What happens is most people, they do a connection request and then one message. Now, some of you might use a drip fed message, but some of the drip fed messages that I get, they're either days apart or like they're really, really quick, or they just finish after like 4 and they're all kind of, they're not really well written. They're just saying the same thing over and over again. And it just stops. People just stop. As you can see, there's not much awareness. Now, when you put a system in place where you're constantly in contact, but with really interesting stuff, and that's going to be debatable, but I'm going to show you a really great system.
Tyrone, can you just switch screen so we can see the drawing on the big screen, please? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
That's cool. No problem. And just to say, yeah, there's lots of people who are saying, yep, they don't follow up with their first degree connections. Yeah, there's a lot of yeses saying, yeah, we don't have time. It doesn't happen as much as it should.
Right. So we see all that. But if you have a system in place that you can sustain, that you can put together easily, and that you can execute easily, this is what you can experience. You can recapture all this, and you can be top of mind of your prospect. And there's a way to do that really, really well, because everyone's like, oh, I don't want to have to produce an article. I don't want to have to produce a newsletter. I know. It kind of sucks having to do it. But there's a really simple way to make this happen for you. I'm going to share it right now. And there's 3 elements to it, all right, to a nurture sequence. There's 3 hot principles. The first is the frequency. How often are you going to do this? That's the first one. The second one is the segmentation and permission. Every time you connect with someone, you have a discussion, they say they're not ready yet, they're not that perfect fit for you right now because of timing, you should be asking every single person, hey, I love to keep my contacts up to date with the latest gossip in the market. Can I do that with you? They'll say, most will say, yeah, sure. Boom, you're going to put them in your nurture list. So always get permission to do this. I highly, highly recommend this. It gets you the massive results that you're probably, you're after. So segment and get permission. And the third thing is to give value. And I hate that word because everyone's like, well, I think I'm writing really good stuff. I think it's valuable. And the other person's reading it and thinking, no, it's not. Now we have content bias. What that means is we tend to think our own content is better than it really is. Now, if you do a content piece and you think it's kind of average, well, in fact, it's below average, okay? So there is content bias, and we have to be careful with, when we talk about giving value. So I have a system for that. I call it the 1-10-4 system. And let me switch to my here, an iPad. Okay, 1-10-4. And what does that mean? It means one piece, one message. Oh, let's get a pen. One message, and you can use Dux-Soup, and I'll show you how to do that. One message every 10 days with 4 bits of content on it. 4 bits of content, 1-10-4. Now, what other content? What I found, guys, was when I looked at my inbox, not LinkedIn, when I looked at my email inbox every day, I open it up and I go delete, 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 delete. Now, there are some messages there that every week or every couple of weeks I keep. And what I noticed was that the 3 biggest ones that really stand out for me, they were these bite-sized chunks of information. One of the best ones I saw originally years ago was when Tim Ferriss was doing his emails, where he just gave these, a book that he was reading or something. It was just these bite-sized chunks of information. And I started to realize when I started to speak to some of my clients, they were the ones that were getting opened as well. People were looking at the emails that were they could use the information instantly. They could apply it instantly. It was bite-sized. It wasn't like paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs of text, but it was short, sharp, sweet, and to the point. So I thought, well, when I first got my clients to nurture, I used to get them to write articles, but no one was doing it. So I thought, okay, how can I make it super easy? Because you have to keep nurturing people every 10 days. So how to do it? Well, this was the formula that I put together, and it's worked really well. The first part of the 4 content pieces is a tip. 1 tip. Yeah, 1 tip. The second one is 1 tool. The next piece was 1 resource. And the last piece was either a quote, if I was a bit lazy, or a bit of gossip. This is really good for recruiters. If you are working in a particular market, industry, I know many of you will have a desk, you're reaching out to the same, kind of companies. You hear, oh, CEO left, or hey, there's a problem, or this person did this and caused this trouble with this client. Share that gossip. So what I found was when I started to get my clients to provide a tip, a tool, a resource, and a bit of gossip or a quote, they were able to consistently produce a 1-10-4 nurture sequence and get this out to clients. And I'll show you how to do that though. But when I talk about tip, right, it can be something really, really easy. Like if you're in sales, maybe you're coaching as a sales coach, teaching people how to do sales. A good easy tip might be, you give a cold call opener, right? A cold call opener. And you would simply write a few sentences about a cold call opener. A tool, if you're in the sales as well, maybe you are using a really cool software like Pipedrive, okay? Now, just because you use it and it's popular, it doesn't mean that everyone in your industry actually knows about it. I'm constantly finding new tools. So with a tool, you're going to write about, hey, I've just come across this, new CRM. It's been working really well for me. It's kept all my deals in place. It's Pipedrive, right? Nice and easy, a link to Pipedrive or a link to a tool. So as you start to think, what's a good tool? Another tool is look at your mobile phone. Do you have apps on your mobile phone? Probably. What's a good app that you use that could be good for your target audience? Write it down. A resource. Now, this is really easy. You want to give stuff where people can find information that's going to benefit them, benefit their position in the industry. A really simple way to find good resources is literally to write, if you're like in SEO, SEO resources, Google this, like SEO resources for small businesses, M&A resources for small businesses. What was the other one? Creative resources for creative agencies, right? If you're targeting creative agencies, for example, but put a resource in there, right? Nice and easy, something that they can grab. And again, these, when you deliver the resource, it's just going to be a couple of sentences. Like one I did was for Quora. I told people, small business owners, go on Quora. There's a lot of questions being answered there. You can give your expertise. It's a great way of getting awareness. A lot of people don't know these. And then you could use a quote or a gossip. It could be from anyone, whatever, from some kind of celebrity in an industry, or an industry influencer. If you don't have any gossip to share, and make sure it's stuff that's not highly confidential, that they could point it was you that leaked it, but stuff that you're hearing. You hear stuff in the market before other people because you're in the market every day, right? So when you do these, what I found, once you get the hang of it, you're able to produce in about 45 minutes. You're able 45 minutes to an hour able to do this. And remember, you're doing it every 10 days, so it's like 3 times a month. But the beauty of this, and I'll show you how, is you're able to get this to everyone in your nurture list, and you're able to do it automatically, right? So it's just a tip, a tool, a resource, and a quote or a bit of gossip, okay? Nice and simple, gives a framework. And when someone reads it, they can quickly, oh, there's a tip, there's a tool, there's a resource. And they start looking forward to it, and they start using it. And what's going to happen? Someone's going to reply in Messenger and say, oh, I really love that app, Tyron, or I love that tool. And then you're able to open up another conversation with them and take them through your process. And I'll show you the best openers to use later. Now, how to execute this. Let me go back to my main screen. This is how I recommend you execute it. Executing the 110.4, what I recommend is post it as an article on your LinkedIn. I didn't do this in the past, but I'm getting my clients to do it. It works really, really well. So when you do a post on LinkedIn, you can do a normal post or you can do an article. I recommend doing it as an article because you'll be able to recycle, repurpose, and reuse this. You have this library of 110.4 posts that you'll be able to continuously use through, for years to come, especially, if there's really strong tools and tips and resources for people to use. So first of all, go make it, write it out as an article. Now use the headlines: tool, tip, resource. Give your 110.4 nurture sequence, give it a name. It could be, Ty's, 2 cents. It could be, Jim's, Friday fours, whatever you want to call it, but give it a good headline, and then, put the content there really, really simple. Remember, I would recommend using casual language. Don't be all formal, and nice, sharp, snappy things that people can execute on when they read it. So after you've posted it as an article, what you can do, say this is an article that I've written before, you'll notice if you go to the bottom of the article, you'll be able to see that there is the share function. Okay, now copy that link. Okay, so you've got the article, copy the link, then go to your Dux-Soup. Okay, go to your Dux-Soup. If you're using Turbo, The reason you see Turbo is I'm using Turbo, but if you've got the normal Dux-Soup, you'll be able to do this. You're going to send a personalized message to first degree connections. Now, put the link in. LinkedIn generally shortens the link automatically when sending. Now, include a message. Okay, so go back and just edit so you have a message in there, and be casual. Hey, make it 3 or 4 sentences, something to capture their interest, and it's a link inside LinkedIn. So LinkedIn aren't going to punish you from sending people off LinkedIn, right? This is just sending them to your articles. The great thing about that, if they read the 110.4 post and they like it, all they've got to do is hit next, and they see the next post, and then the next post, and they're going to start to see all your content, your 110.4 pieces. So it drives people inside LinkedIn to your content, and it's in their messenger. Now, the great thing about Messenger, as opposed to doing this via general email has open rates of what, 17 to 20 something %. Now, when is the last time you went into LinkedIn? And you saw a red dot above messaging and you didn't open it. Never, right? When you see that red dot above messenger, it's like catnip. You open it. You can see near 100% open rates on LinkedIn. Remember, these are first degree connections, people that you've asked to nurture, and then you're sending them a tip, a tool, a resource, and a quote or a bit of gossip. They're looking forward to it. It's stuff that's totally relevant to them. It doesn't take much time for them to look at it. They're not leaving the LinkedIn platform. Everything about it gives you the opportunity to be opening a conversation. Now, people say ABC, always be closing. It's not. It's ABO, always be opening conversations.
Tyron, very quickly,
Yeah.
Can you just recap what 110.4 is for a couple of the people who've missed that? Just what does 110.4 stand for? Because there's a few questions come in about that.
All right, so it was one message every 10 days, 4 bits of content.
Thank you.
The 4 bits of content were a tip, a tool, a resource, and a quote or a bit of gossip. And you're going to do it by producing it as an article on LinkedIn. And then you're going to share, you're going to copy the article link, you're going to chuck it into Dux-Soup, into the actions, the send a personalized message. Then you're going to put a 2 or 3 sentence hook. And then all you got to do is go to your 110.4 nurture list. Remember, you've been building this out and asking people, and you're just going to visit away, and it's going to send the 110.4 to every first connection on your list, right? And it's going to do it automatically for you. It's beautiful. Dux-Soup fires it off, and then within the first few hours, you're going to get the first people responding. You'll get a small percentage, but the great thing about it, over about 6 months, 7 months, you may have 200-300 people on this list, and you're going to get a certain percentage. It could be up as 5%, maybe as high as 10%, responding to your 110.4. Now, this is one of 9 strategies, right? One of 9 kind of key projects. But people are responding to it. So, oh, I love that tool, Tyron. Oh, that's a great app. Thanks for that. And as soon as they do that, you go back to opening a conversation with them, right? Because you want to be opening conversation. Now, doing this messaging 110.4, they're going to hear from you at least 3 times over the month. These are active players. These are people you connected to, had a chat with. They weren't right for you right then. It wasn't great timing, everything about it. You don't want to drop these people. You want to maintain a relationship with them. Now that 110.4, you can recycle it and repurpose it and reuse it as posts, as emails. You can make videos out of it. There's so much you can do with this. So don't just think you do it once and it's a throwaway, okay? So that's how you execute it with LinkedIn. Now, what I want to show you is an opener. We talked about outbound. And remember, with outbound, there were 3 key projects that I spoke about. That was a targeting, engagement strategies, and then the messaging frameworks. Now, the messaging frameworks, this is one of the things that just drives me crazy that I see on LinkedIn are the horrible value vomits, these messages that people send. And I spoke it right at the start of the call where I said where people reach out and say, hey, I'm Ty, I'm the LinkedIn guy. I do this. I get leads for clients. Here's a PDF to download. Here's a video to watch. And here's my link for a 15-minute call. No one responds to that. It's horrible. And the reason for that, well, we can skip that one. I want to demonstrate something, and I call this method of opening a conversation called the pink suit method. Now, some of you who've watched some of my other webinars would be aware of this, but this is really important, guys. Imagine this. If you came to Tokyo with me, and I took you to a networking event in Tokyo, you would find that nearly every guy, and even the women, are wearing a suit, black suit, white shirt. That is like uniform in Japan. Now, imagine if you walked in the room with me, there's about 200 people, black suits, white shirt, and in the middle of the room is this guy in this pink neon suit with this pink neon hat. Now, you walk up to this guy. What would you say to this guy? Real life. Imagine you see this guy. What would you say? You walk into this room, everyone's in black suit, white shirt, guy's in a pink neon suit. What would you say? Call it out, write the chat. What would you say to this guy? Really, think you're there, standing right in front of him. What would you say? Giles, do we have anyone daring to say what they would say?
You look special.
You look special, yeah.
That's the first one we've had through.
Come on, guys, wake up.
I love your suit. Oh my God, I love your outfit. Nice suit. It's from Tina and Virginia and Emily, and a nice suit. Love the pink suit. What's it for? From Giles. You're brave. Wow. From John. You're the pink elephant in the room. From Parnell. I'm feeling that suit, bro. Beautiful suit. Hey, what's up? That's colourful. Yeah, lots of
right.
Yeah, good opener.
So now imagine if I walked into this room and I met this guy for the first time and I use what you use on LinkedIn. You'd walk up to this guy and say, hi, my name's Ty. I'm the LinkedIn guy. Here's my diary. Would you like to book a time to speak to me? And here's a video to watch. And here's a brochure that you can take home and read. Why do you do that? Why do you suddenly get in LinkedIn and throw out the way we communicate with someone when we meet them for the first time? It is nuts. It drives me nuts. So stop it from today. I'm going to show you how to do the best opener. Now, when you combine this with engagement, pre-warming strategy on active players and hyperactive players on LinkedIn, and then follow up with this opener, we see, as I said, near 100% acceptance rates of our connection note and 85+% response rates. And there's 3 hot principles for this. The first is a pattern interrupt. You need to interrupt their messenger. You need to stand out in their messenger. The next thing, you need to ask an irresistible question, a question that is really easy for them to answer. If you are trying to be smart on LinkedIn and show that you're this smart academic or this genius, and you're asking complicated questions, you are shooting yourself in the foot. If you're even asking, oh, how do you think the market's going to be in 6 months? No. You want to ask literally a question where you can get a yes or no response, because generally, if you've pre-warmed them and you're using this opener, they're going to give you a little bit more anyway, just out of reciprocity and being normal social acuity. But if you ask a question, this is always the case. When you ask a complex question, you're putting the person on the spot, because what they have to do, they've got a choice. One, for me to answer this question and not look like a fool, I'm going to have to write 1 or 2 paragraphs worth of content or response, or I can just ignore it and not even answer. Now, which one are you going to choose? You're going to choose, and this is what's happening to so many of you, you're getting chosen to be ignored. So we want to ask an irresistible question. And the next thing, we want to stack. What I mean by that is once we've done the opener, we only want to stay in stacking, i.e. situational questions, or do follow-ups once or twice max. Because if you go above that, what happens is the person's thinking, what's this guy want? Get to the point, and they just go quiet. And you're thinking, oh, we had this great conversation, and then suddenly you went quiet. Yes, you've worn out your welcome. You've got to transition. You've got to transition. But so how do we do it? This is how we do it. We first start with a pattern interrupt, and I've given 3 examples here. The pattern interrupt is the pink suit. We want to find the pink suit, and we want to ask them an irresistible question about the pink suit, right? Really, really easy. So for example, and we can come up with some more together. The first one is the idea of doing, and I just want to switch to my iPad. The first one, as I kind of mentioned, was doing the company logo, okay? So for example, many of you are business owners. What's the first thing when you ever created your company? What did you do? You created a logo, you had it made, you showed your wife, your husband, your partner, you sent it to your family members. What do you think of my logo? They said, oh, it sucks. And you're like, oh, I love it, I'm gonna use it anyway. Then you thought of a company name and you tried that out. Everyone went through that experience as a business owner. So if you're reaching out to people, one of the things you can do, look at their company page, look at their company logo. Do they have an interesting logo? Well, what can you do? Do a screenshot. Now, I've tested video responses, text responses, images always works the best. So what you will do is literally you will take a screenshot of their logo and you're going to chuck it into Messenger. You're going to, boom, Messenger that company logo. Then you're going to ask the irresistible question. I'm going to show you an irresistible question to follow up with next. Another one, YouTube interview. For example, you know, if you're reaching out to CEOs of companies, even mid-sized companies, many of them have been interviewed by the news or whatever. Go to YouTube, Tyron Giuliani, CEO, Selling Made Social. Find a video, it's 20 minutes long. Go to the 12-minute mark. Take a screenshot of the person talking on camera. What are they thinking? Oh man, this person's really into me. Remember, likability is a key principle of influence. Likability does not mean that you are this likable, affable person. Likability is the other person feels you like them. So we're looking for their pink suit. You're finding this person on YouTube, you know, and you'll get really, really quick at doing this. And chuck the image of them on YouTube there. The next one, if you do, so we've got a YouTube video, right? We've got a blog. Now, don't just go to their latest blog, and I recommend getting these pattern interrupts off LinkedIn, right? You want to show them, and you'll get really quick at doing this. You can literally within a minute have this kind of sorted out, but it has massive impact. With a blog, for example, go to their blog page. If they have blogs, go to like 3 months back. Go to the last paragraph of the article of the blog. Go to the last paragraph, screenshot that, underline one of the last sentences in red, boom, put that in Messenger, and we'll come up with an irresistible question. Some other examples, look in their volunteer section. Look in their volunteer section of their, if it's current, don't do stuff they did 5 years ago. If it's current, go to the volunteer site. You know, if they're in, you know, I don't know, you know, Children's Cancer Fund, go to their website, go to deep into the website, a really interesting page. It's got some great imagery, screenshot of that, volunteer. If they're in the military, and if you were in the military, find their unit, do a Google search, do an image of that. What's something else, guys, that you think you could find the pink suit about someone? Another one, their university, especially if you went to their university. Go to their university, but go to their university page. Something really interesting about that university, a screenshot, an image of that. Take a screenshot. And I've put ability for you guys to list 15. This is good to list out these prior to start your messaging, because then you've got a little checklist. If they've got a company logo that's crappy, well, don't use it. If their company name, even the company name, if it's interesting, if it's their own name, it's not going to work. But company name, right? There's a whole host. I get my clients to make a whole list. What's a couple ideas, team?
Some other things that are coming in, shared interest groups,
Yep.
where they're located,
Yep.
where they're living.
Yep. Look
Food
at.
they make, their hobbies, those sorts of things.
Yep.
Places they visited and worked.
Yep. So make a list, guys. But what you want to do, you want to go off LinkedIn, right? If they talk about, you know, I'm a keen skier, like go and do a quick research about them, or if they did some image or something, find them doing something off LinkedIn, right? An image about them. Then what we're going to do is we're going to do a pattern interrupt. So as I mentioned, for a company logo, you want to ask an irresistible question, okay? You want to make it really, really easy. So just like you would do in real life, when you asked about the pink suit, I love your suit, where'd you get it from? Or hey, why'd you wear that? That's a little bit complex, but company logo, did you design it? Love your logo. Love your logo. Did you design it? Now, most people say, oh, actually, I got it done by 99 Designs, or I got da-da-da-da-da. You're going to get a response. The reason why 95% of your deals aren't happening on LinkedIn is because your conversations aren't even starting. You've got to start. You've got to get a conversation open, and then you can transition. There's ways to do that as well. YouTube, right? Oh, you can a screenshot of that 15-minute mark. What do you think you could ask? An irresistible question. What's an irresistible question about the video you just watched? About them. Remember, we want to stroke their ego. We want to make it about them. We want to make it irresistible for them to answer. How about just like, oh, love the point you made. Love the point you made. And then you could ask, have you always been that comfortable on camera? Well, have you always been that comfy on camera? Nice and easy. You'll get people saying, oh, actually I had to work really hard at it. That's going to give you a little bit of stacking, right? Blog. Again. Love this. Got another one like this coming? Got another one like this coming? They're going to like, oh, thank you, because what are they thinking? They're thinking, man, this guy's gone back to 3 months of my blogs. He's read them. Man, he's read all the way through. He's made a comment. And then, you know, got another one coming. They're like, oh, yeah, actually, I'm just writing one now. If they say, no, I'm like, oh, you should. It was fantastic. Stack. Then you can transition. There's ways to do that. We can't go over that tonight, but that's what I coach my clients. The follow-on to these are just as good as these openers. I'm telling you now. Groups, locations, you know, location really easy. Take, you know, if they're in the same town or somewhere you've been, screenshot of the site and like, Matt, you know, if it's a famous place where you have a picnic, hey, have you had the, you know, Alpha Kebab there before as well? You know, find stuff that is going to be irresistible for them to answer. It's a short, sharp, snappy kind of answer. Question for them, right? Really, really simple. So I recommend going through each of these. Volunteer group, for example, for the volunteers. It could be something as easy as saying, oh, what a great cause. Is this a monthly thing or a weekly thing, right? It's about them. It's an irresistible question. They can't help but answer it. And then after you get that, you're just going to want to stack. They get a couple of situational questions, follow on from that, and then you're going to transition to a business, you know, to your offer. There's ways to do that. As I said, I can't go into it today, but there's very specific ways that we then move and transition someone. They don't feel that it is a contrived script or a framework. They just feel someone's engaging, someone is showing interest in them, and they're really excited by it. right? So just to recap, with your nurturing sequence, whenever someone responds and says, oh, thanks for that tip or tool, be on them straight away. Be on them like white on rice, and do it using the pattern interrupt. Do an image, irresistible question, because you're making it about them. The number one topic people love to talk about is themselves. The number two thing people love to talk about is things they don't like. It's really, really powerful, okay? But that's what you want to do with this nurture sequence. You want to open up a conversation again with everyone. Do it by making it about them. It's really, really critical, okay? So I've got time for some questions about that. So let me go back to my screen. My internet's being really slow. Ignore. Let me go to preview. All right. So we can do some questions. Yeah, if you want to find more about it, please just email. You can email me at info@sellingmadesocial.com. I had a scheduler already from people who got the workbook. Our schedule got full already. So just email to info@sellingmadesocial with a brainstorm session. If you want to kind of go through the big 3 projects that you need to work on now, and if you're interested in putting in a funnel, feel free to reach out to us at info@sellingmadesocial. Just for Dux-Soup, upcoming webinar, recruiters, half your candidate prospecting time on LinkedIn. 31st of May would be great. I know we've got a lot of recruiters here tonight, so awesome. So let's go back to questions. So who's got some questions? Happy to go on. I've got time. It's come up to midnight here, but I'm pumped.
Yeah, I think we've got quite a lot of questions. I'll just jump in with a couple. I think Jin's just sorting out a couple of others, but one of the questions that's come up here is, where do we find more about transitioning, and at what stage do you go for the jugular, i.e. the offer, and how do you manage that transition? At what point do you make that decision?
Yeah, so this will happen. The way that we transition with our clients is, when you have the person in a conversation, especially when it's live, you want to be taking advantage. So we do the opener. Hopefully, as I said, it's someone who you've already spoken to before, you've already engaged with before. If you've been nurturing, you use the 110-4, they respond to that. We do the pattern interrupt, irresistible question. Whatever they give back, as I said, we stack once or twice. So if they're like, oh yeah, I've the video, yeah, I've actually, no, I wasn't comfortable. I took some classes. You can say, hey, what kind of class did you do? And they'll give you the answer. Then that's when you go into your transition. The way that we do our transitions, that's a whole different ballgame. That's a whole, I spend days coaching my clients, but that's when you want to transition. You don't want to leave it on and on and on. And you want to make it a way where they're going to be asking you, oh, well, would that work for me? You don't want to just say, I do this, do you need the help? It doesn't work like that. You've got to think, when you're talking in real life, the way that you're communicating, we do it through assumptive questions by using a bit of social proof. And we get it, so they actually ask us, oh, would that work for me? And they're like, oh, I think it would. Let's go on the call. But you do it right then and there. This is not something it's not like people are like, oh, wait a week. And then, no, don't do that. It's if you're in a real discussion with someone in real life, imagine you're at a networking event, they're responding to you, you're responding to them. And then when it finally comes to them asking about your service, would you turn your back and walk away? Like, I'll see you next week. No, you do it then and there, but you've got to use your social acuity and the transitions. Yeah, I mean, I've spent a lot of time testing, and so that's a whole, that's a whole webinar in itself. But that's where you do it. That's where you do it.
Yeah. Another question: Do you suggest making these nurtures from a LinkedIn business page or from a LinkedIn personal page?
No, personal page. Personal page.
Personal page. Absolutely.
You're going to deliver it. You're going to deliver your. You can do the 110-4. You can post it on your company page if you want as well, just to have content there. But I recommend on your personal page, post an article, have it as an article, and then get that link and share it via your personal profile using Dux-Soup Messenger.
There's some questions about stacking, and I'm trying to find where it was, and I can't find it now. Any tips on? No, there we are. Examples of stacking questions. Somebody else was asking.
Well,
Lots of questions around how to automate all of this with Dux-Soup.
You cannot automate your opening. You can automate the nurture sequence as I showed by, you create it and then you get it in your article, and then Dux-Soup will do the rest by just uploading it and then like press send. Like it's that super easy to do.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, that's, Dux-Soup is awesome for that. But this is why people, Dux-Soup is awesome for automating a lot of these transactional stuff, and it gives you more time to have real conversations. I have found having real conversation pays off rather than just, having an automated message, especially for those that are the highly active players. So you can't automate the opener. It just can't. But again, you're doing it for very, very specific types of people and people that you want to speak to. See, the way that I prospect every day or get my clients to is we work in a 15-day cycle. We might say, okay, there's 30 people. We're going to speak to 85% of them in the next 12 to 15 days, right? So in a month, they might target 60 to 100 people, and they're going to speak to 85% of them, rather than chucking 400 people at the top of the funnel. Whoever makes it to the bottom and comes out, you're like, yeah, okay, I'll speak to them. You just got to approach it differently. This is why I talk about having those 9 projects of a funnel. Messaging is just one. Nurturing is just one of the funnel, right? It's just to put that back on screen. It's coming, these leads are coming from multiple parts of your funnel. It's not left to one part of your funnel to do the heavy lifting. When you do a client-facing promotional page instead of a resume, you'll come up in searches more. You'll get people reaching out and say, oh, I saw you offer this, and because on that page you'll have myths pre-answered, you have objections pre-answered, you have your key services shown, you have social proof. You can't isolate one thing and say, oh, I just need to improve my messaging and I'll make money off LinkedIn. It rarely works like that. It comes from having each of these taken care of and having tactics and processes for each part.
Jin, do you have some more questions that you've got there?
Oh yeah, I have quite a few. A lot of users were super happy with the webinar, but of course, with a good webinar, we have a lot of questions. And the first one would be, what are the issues using your provided approach to different generations, like millennials or boomers?
Yeah, so if you look at how people communicate in this world, when we meet someone for the first time, it's pretty universal. We make an observation about the person, about the surrounding, and we ask questions. The anatomy of conversations, especially in the Western markets, is pretty similar. It's question, answer, question, answer, question, observation or story, and then answer, and then question. Pretty much that's how humans communicate. So we're just replicating the way. And the number one topic people love to speak about is themselves, right? So I have found it works across all generations when you make it about them, right? You make it about them and you ask an irresistible question about them. It's not about you and what you do. I never say to someone, I do this, this is what I offer, are you interested? Never, never do that. It will always start off with about them and getting them thinking, man, this guy really digs me, right? That's what you want. And it's not creepy dig. It's like, okay, it's one of the best filters that you can apply, everyone. Whenever you're reaching out to people or you're going to type something in Messenger, just ask yourself this question. With what I know of this person, with what my relationship is with this person, would I say it in real life if they were standing in front of me? And if the answer is no, do not type it in Messenger, right? That will save you in people going quiet and ignoring you. Just that simple filter, right? And what I also recommend is being as casual as possible. Now, some markets, like I've got clients in the German market, some are much more formal, and then they switch to informal language. Japan as well, much more formal. You've got to, obviously play your market. But I found the level and the tonality that you start at is what generally a conversation will stay at. So as an Aussie, I like to come in pretty casual. I don't care what level of person they are, I'll come in really casual. And 99% of the time, the person will match that and they'll be casual. And you've broken down so many barriers straight away. Now, especially if your page is framed in a way where they can see you're a business owner, they're a business owner, there's unity there, right? That no one likes to be, if you're a business owner, I don't want a sales associate who's 22 reaching out to me. It's just like, oh. But if another business owner reaches out to me, I'm like, yeah, we've got there's a shared experience of starting a business and how hard that is and all those things, right? So use those to your advantage. When you're reaching out to business owners in particular, as a business owner yourself, reach out to them as someone has some shared experience, and be way more casual than you're probably being, and use it like messenger, not like an inbox in an email. It's called messenger for a reason. It's not called LinkedIn inbox, it's called messenger. Use it as a messenger, sending short messages.
Thank you very much. Another question, again, with the follow-ups and messaging people. If you send a lot of follow-ups or messages, all of them seem very spammy. When should we stop?
Well, so if it's 110.4, it's not going to be spammy, because it's, again, it's people that you've asked to, nurture. And once you get your stride and you get your tip, your resource, you're fine. So I've never had someone say, oh, stop sending me these, and my clients haven't had that. If you're talking about messaging, when you're putting a drip fed message together, if someone hasn't answered you after, your second or third message, and the next two messages follow up are just as boring as the first three, you're never getting answered. And the problem with that as well is, if you start a fresh message with that person 6 months later, what do they see? They see the history of your last 6 messages, and they're like, oh, that person again, and they ignore you again. Now, there's ways around that. You can actually go to that message, you can delete it on your side, and then you can reload LinkedIn, hit message again to that person, and it'll pop up a fresh one for you. And when you message them, it'll actually go to the top of their inbox, and that old 6 messages that no one answered will be buried months and months ago. So there's ways around it, but generally those that don't know how to do it, when you're messaging, if you've got a drip campaign and it's not converting, stop it fast. Like, you've got to see Messenger. If you're doing drip campaigns and Dux-Soup Turbo allow you to do that, you really got to test them. You've got to test them out and start to think, how are you, is it a basic direct email that you're sending, like everyone gets, or is it more casual? Is it question based? You've got to get good at writing good copy. And, most of the stuff that I see that comes to my LinkedIn inbox is just horrible. It's just horrible. And I never respond, or I respond with training for the pink suit method. So if you're not getting response, don't keep on hammering away at it. Test it on 50 people. And if no one's responding, don't send it to the next 300 people. Yeah. And then do some training and getting your copy right. Yeah. It takes time.
Thank you. Yeah, that's very clever. Another question, would a weekly or bi-weekly newsletter work, in your opinion?
Well, so newsletters functions are different to what I'm talking about as this nurture sequence. The most that I'd want to, well, if you're great at writing content and your 110.4s are awesome, and they, again, we have content bias. So if you think your stuff is okay, it's one level below, so it's average. Okay, if you think your stuff is really, really good, then it's probably good. and have people check it out, and just by the response you get from it, just by the way that it works. The reason we do every 10 days, the shortest I would go is a 7-day sequence. The reason I do 10 days is, when you first send it out, you might be sending it to 200-300 people. You will get people responding to it. Usually in the first 3 days, you'll get the bulk of people responding to it who are going to respond, and then the rest will come during that last cycle as people come onto LinkedIn. So I just find that's a good cycle. It just works out that tends to be enough to keep me top of mind, because you've got to remember the great thing about the LinkedIn algorithm, there's 2 parts to it, right? It's what you do on LinkedIn, and then LinkedIn, based on other profiles that look like yours, they'll deliver you certain content. But when someone responds to that message and you respond to them, and there's back and forth, it triggers that when you put content out, you have much higher chance of having your content put on their news feed. And if they then engage with that content, that will keep you there for another week and a half. So all of these methods, these are designed really to trigger you getting in front of them constantly. The same thing, if you go into Messenger, message someone and have some back and forth, and notice what happens. You will see their content, right? Because LinkedIn's like, oh, this guy likes Tyron, so we're going to show Tyron stuff. That's why you want to include, the content stuff. You want to include the content stuff in your funnel, because when you're doing messaging and someone responds, yeah, you're gonna be put on top of their newsfeed. And most people don't go searching for content. This is the beauty. Most people, when they turn on LinkedIn, they just let it flow over them. They open up the homepage and just scroll, right? So they allow LinkedIn to deliver what they're going to see. And as I said, half of what you get really is determined by your activity, what you search for, who you engage with, who you message, who you respond to. So the other side of that is you get to game that. You have more of a chance to get your content on their news feed, and that's through the nurture sequencing. One way of getting.
Thank you. Another very specific question. So a user is saying our prospects are mainly well-educated engineers and project managers. Mm-hmm. They do not need to hear gossip, etc. So what would be a different type of approach with the approach gossip, which you,
okay.
Yeah.
So it can be gossip in quote, and a gossip doesn't mean, I'm not talking like Gossip Girl stuff, like, oh, guess what, Jane out of ABC got pregnant. It can be stuff like, hey, ABC engineering company are just, I've heard they're just about to release a new bit of software, blah, 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 or there's a new design that they've, something newsworthy or cutting edge, something that someone just couldn't Google and find an answer for. This is why when you're prospecting, if you're hitting the same type of avatar or ideal client prospect every time, you'll know about the market, and you'll know more about the market than the people in the market. Because what happens is when people are working in the company, they tend to be concentrating on their own company and their own work, and they don't pay as much attention to what's happening around them. Now, you, as someone who's selling into the market, you might be speaking to people in a month over 50 to 100 different companies. And, when you have good conversations with these people, get them on a sales call, you're going to hear some gossip, some news that's not out there in the public sphere yet. That's the gossip that I mean to share as well.
Thank you very much. That's it from me for today, and I'm handing back to Joe. Thank you very much, Tyron. That was very entertaining.
Good.
Thanks, Jen. A big thank you, Tyron. I know it's really late where you are, and we've kind of gone into the next day now, but we really, really appreciate the time that you've spent on this one. I think there's so many really good bits and pieces in there that people can really take into their working day and start implementing. And I think the workshop approach is really, really useful for that, because you've walked people through the process and they can really take it with them. So thank you for taking the time. I know it's been technically a little bit taxing sometimes.
I can feel my brain is heated up.
And one thing that you said, which I really, really love, and I think it's really poignant to take away, is that no one cares about your business until they care about you. And I think that should really be top of mind with a lot of this. So yeah, I will just say thank you for spending the time on this, and we will leave you be so you can go and have it.
Thank you.
And hopefully we'll see you again soon, Tyrone.
Yeah, great. Thanks, guys. Hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Yes, bye.